folks, Damon at Black Warrior Lures, starting to slowly but surely get things ready to go fishing. And usually about this time of the year I like to start trolling for some spotted bass or maybe even some stripers. And the way I troll is actually I use a fly rod and some fly reel, you know, but you don't have to use this. I use this because this is what I have. You can use you know, it's a lot like drifting for catfish, except you're just actively moving. But, you know, this is something different. I'm not going for catfish. Like I say, I'm going for spotted bass and some striped bass. And what I'm going to use is one of my modern Mickey fins, as you can see here. Forgive the wind. I don't know if you can hear that, but it jiggles, wiggles, and rattles. You have the beads here that can rattle, and you have the eyes there that rattle. Gives you some sound. You got light here with the simulated scales with the crystal flash, or really the H2O twist. You have the classic, you know, yellow, red, yellow color pattern of a Mickey fin. You got the two hooks here. One hook here, straight hook, and the other one turned there. If you see that, you see how it's a little offset in the opposite direction. Gosh, I catch so many fish on that back stinger hook there, and it works. And then of course you have the Dodger disc that just makes this thing swim through the water. It just swims just like a fish. And then you get that rattle on there. And then I catch a lot of fish like that, just especially this time of the year. Now, how do you rig this up? And the way I do it for trolling specifically, I don't even know where I put my what I do is I get a flyer. You can do this with bait casting reels or any kind of reels, but usually what I do with the fly rods, I rig it up with some 20-pound test Dacron backing. Okay, and then that's going to go to some 50-pound test monofilament. I think I left it in the house. I have to go get it and bring it back out. So 50-pound test monofilament. Then that goes to a section, well, not a section, but you know, a certain length of lead core line. And if you can't use lead core line in your state, use the copper stuff. This is 18-pound lead core line. It gives you the most weight for the least diameter. I usually put about a 3-foot section on here, usually no more than that, and then I'll tip it all off with probably a 8-foot length of about 12-pound test line. That's typical of how fly fishermen do things. But you mean, if you wanted, you could use whatever your favorite braid here is, for just some kind of a backing. And the reason I use the 50-pound test monofilament, I only put 100 feet of it on. See, I don't have a lead counter line, so what I do is once I measure out 100 feet of line. I know there's 100 feet of, it's a long lining method. You have a long 100-foot section of 50-pound test line, and you know that's how much line is out, and you know what kind of depth you're running because you have this weight. And then you're controlling your depth with the oars and the speed at which you're trolling. But anyway, let me run back in here in the house. Maybe the wind will die down a little bit. I'll be right back. Alright, so just Wally World brand 50-pound test monofilament. And I always have my thread snips when I'm working with line and stuff. It's what I use this when I'm tying my flies. And actually, you've seen me other videos where I have these and using them to manage the line or whatever on my manage the thread while I'm building bobbers and stuff. It's a good, useful little pair of scissors. So what we're going to do here, you don't have to thread the whole thing up, but I'm doing it because it just looks cool on the camera to have the whole rod up and running. And so what you do is you just thread this rod up. This is an old Phillipson fly rod that I bought years and years ago. This is the one thing that I love. I mean, I've caught some nice big fish with this thing, and I love long limber fishing rods because it puts a lot of the fun back into fishing. I have a bad bag and can't catch these big monsters, you know. I can't be trying to winch up 80-pounders and 100-pounders, man. I just can't do all that. So I just have to purposely fish for smaller game and go with that. Okay, so now we have that. Let's see. Yep, that's about like that. This has already been, again, this has already been preloaded with Dacron back in 20-pound test, or you can go with 35, just depending on what you want. Or if you were just, or if you just had a small reel, you could just go direct, the 50-pound test direct to the thing there. Because this is just to measure the length, you know, between, so you know how much thing you have. So tie it on by, I forget what fly fishermen call this knot, but it's a several overhanded knots. It's basically the same knot as a, one, oh come on now, see it looped off on me. It's like, it's the same knot as a stopper knot with your slip bobbers. For those of you cat fishermen, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So it's a stopper knot, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is how stopper knots work. So what you want to do is pull that tight. I'm going to do something. What you want to do here, now if the line is thin enough, and I'm not sure this is going to be, I'll put a stopper knot here on this end. Okay. That's a stopper knot on that end of it. I have no idea why I took my scissors off. The whole point is to keep them in your hand. Always be careful. You don't want it, you know, gouging your eye out with it. So just be careful and mindful. There is a sharp pair of scissors in your hand that's pointing towards your face. Very important. Okay, so now you have that stopper knot there. Now we'll clip that about right there. And then you're going to pull that back. Now you'd be surprised at how strong this is. A lot of people don't, fly fishermen use this knot all the time. You just pull that as tight as you possibly can, and pull it all the way down to the stopper, and you're good to go. Let's see if we can catch this air tractor here that's coming up. Maybe a little too high. Oh, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? I love airplanes, folks. Sorry, getting... Oh, there he is. They're going to do the cornfields here. The sun's probably in their eyes, but you may not be able to see him. But anyway, let's get back here. So now what you want to do is let me run in the house, get me some super glue, and you're going to super glue that down. And that's going to be like one solid thing. So let me go back and show you that. And once again, I'll be right back. Just super glue. Again, super glue is one of those magical things that fly fishermen use a lot of. They use it to hold their flies together, hold their lines together. And oh, there's a big blob there. And so you'll put a couple of drops on there like that. And then you're going to have a little paintbrush here. Come on. Take a little paintbrush here. Don't get this stuff on your hands, because this stuff was originally meant to, you know, for soldiers in Vietnam. So just sew them up while they're out there in the thing, out there in the fields. And so you're just going to put that on there, and you're going to need to let that dry. It's windy out here. It's cool, but it's windy, so hopefully this will dry in a few minutes. And once that's rock hard, you know, you want to work it down into those threads, and that's going to turn this into one solid thing here. Okay? And the main thing was going to have to let that dry. Don't let it touch anything, just let it dry. Okay? I'll be right back. So I know how long 100 feet is, because I've measured it out from the base of the steps here all the way down to one of the trees here. So what we're going to do is just walk down here, see how much line we really have. We may have 100 feet left on this spool, we may not. If it's not exactly 100, I'm not going to worry about it, because, you know, even like 50 feet is a lot. Yeah, we're not going to be anywhere near 100. We're probably going to be more like 50, 75 feet. which is fine. We'll just can add a longer tippet. Okay, and so there we go. And that's going to be it right there. Now 100 feet would be closer to these trees down here if we were to keep walking another 20 feet or so. So I'm thinking this is about 80 feet long. If you look from here all the way back up there to the house or whatever, that's where we were, this is where we are. And so that's what we have. And what we'll do now, we'll just reel all this back in. And I've done this because I've measured it before. And what we'll do is just understand, okay, this is about 20 feet short, so we'll add in a longer section of the 12-pound test line. No problem. Okay. Next step is to measure about 3 feet of lead core. 3 feet. I know from my hand to my chest is just less than, it's about 3 feet. So maybe add a little more. Doesn't have to be super exact, and that's what we're going to do there. This lead core line is just weight. It's lead, and 3 feet of lead weight there will give us about a 3-foot depth. But then we also control depth with the way we row with the boat. And what we're going to do here is a lot of guys will strip this the sleeve out, but I'm not. I'm just going to do a surgeon's loop, and we're going to do the rest of the thing with what we call loop-to-loop connections. And so go there. That's one end, so you still have all that weight there. There's no problem. You're not losing weight. A lot of times this is see the lead, this is how lead core line works. It's just a Dacron outer shell with a single strand of lead that's aligned in it. And a lot of guys use for trolling, but we're using it specifically for this kind of trolling here. And because we're not having to get super deep, you know. And I'm controlling my depth with the speed of the motor, and with the speed of the boat. The way I row, I have one rod out of one side of the boat, another rod out of the other side, and we can control, we're going in zigzagging motions. Whenever you're trolling, I don't understand why people do this, but whenever you troll, never go in a straight line, because since when do fish swim in a straight line? And you know, I see a lot of guys trolling, that's all they do. They just kind of go in a straight line, because I guess that's the most convenient thing to do. But anyway, so this line can be a little cumbersome at times, and so. But anyway, there we go. Now we have it. That's a loop on one end there, and a loop on the other end. And we could, I guess we could do something like just twist that around there. Like I said, I want to keep all the line. I don't want to waste any or throw any away. That core line is fairly cost effective though. Just twist that around like so, and it'll be fine. And again, don't put your hands in your mouth or anything when you're dealing with anything lead oriented. Go wash your hands well and all that stuff. So there, we got that prepped. And again, I feel like I just keep stalling trying to figure out if this stupid thing is going to dry. Oh, it's still not dry. It's just not. You figure with all this wind it would dry out pretty easily, but nope. It hasn't as of yet. So I don't like that double stop, but I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be okay. A few more minutes there and it'll be dry. So while we're waiting on that, we can just rig up the rest of this unit. This is some this is some 12-pound test line. You can, I mean, I've used as little as 8-pound test line trolling. I mean, a lot of people just don't know, but you can troll with some fairly light lines. I wouldn't go less than 8. 8 is like a bare minimum, but I think, you know, 12 has been plenty. I've been able to catch a lot of fish on 12-pound test line. So once again, we're going to go measure about, let's say 3. Actually, it's more like, oh, there's a knot on there, really chafed. But we're going to snip that. Always make sure you got a nice clean piece of, there's 3, 6, 9. Again, 9 feet section. So remember, we had a 3-foot section lead core line, a 9-foot section of that. 3 plus 9 gives you what number? 12. We're going to do a loop, a perfection loop here. A lot of videos on that. I know you probably can't see the line, but if you don't know how to do it, you can either tie another surgeon's loop or whatever. Oh, come on, you got to be kidding me. This wind is not helping me. So anyway, comes that air tractor again. There we go. Wet it. So we got a nice loop there. Probably gonna cut out here and so I can look at that air tractor again. So a loop-to-loop connection there. And let's see. Oh, come on. Yeah, that goes through there. Take this end. Oh, come on now. Give me all this trouble. Put that back through there. So we're basically going from 20-pound test backing to 18-pound test lead core line to 12-pound tests, essentially leader, if you will, and then see. So now that's on there securely. See, 18-pound to the 12-pound test. It's like some glue and stuff on this line. I don't know. Again, the wind is just killing it, folks, and so, sorry. And so, there's your weight. Here's your main line or leader or whatever you want to call it, tippet. And then, we're going to go to a, I don't know why I tied that on there like that. Then we're going to go to a swivel here, because these lures, I'm telling you, these things, they wiggle a lot and put a lot of twist in your line, so you want to use a swivel. All right. Oh, come on! Don't give me all this trouble. Okay, so there's that. You're going to do a Palmer knot, and you, again, just look up on YouTube. A lot of people show you how to do a Palmer. And I know you can probably hardly see these lines here. Wet it there. Pull that tight. Make sure, yep. And then we'll snip that. And so now we got a rig. Hopefully by now, after all this time, this is finally dried. Yes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna reel this up. Again, you could do this with you could use this with I mean, you can use this with spinning reel if you want, you know. It just needs to be able to hold 100 feet of 50-pound test line. But anyway, we'll just reel that all the way on up, and I think the other one I have rigged has like 120 feet of line on it, so this one has less than 100. So there'll be a nice mix when we get out there on the water. And there it goes, about like that. Okay, now we're coming to it. So now, see, come on, don't get in all that trouble. Why does stuff always have to give you trouble? Right? So that's already reeled all the way up. There's a nice, pretty clear line on there. And we're going to do this the same way. We're going to rig this up with a perfection loop. You may be able to see this better. You pull it around back, pull it tight, pull another loop here. You're going to put this between the two. You're going to pull this loop here through that loop there. Wet it out. Bam. And it's done. It's cinched. It's good. It's a good knot. Sort of a classic fly fishing knot that you almost never see outside of the fly fishing world. We're going to snip there. Now we already have our rig. And now all we have to do is put this, just like we had the other here. Loop-to-loop connections are an easy way to connect lines of different sizes and whatnot. So there's that, there's that. Put that right through there. We're going to pull that through. Hopefully we can get the right. Never works out the way you want exactly. Now we go. Actually did pretty well there. Pull that through, pull that through, pull it all back through, and hopefully we can get this to form a nice tight, there we go. That's good. Nice tight harness there. And that's good. That's all she wrote, folks. 20-pound test 20-pound test backing, going to 100 feet, and this is about 80 feet. That's all I had on hand at the moment. A 50-pound test monofilament, loop-to-loop connection. That's going to 3 feet. It's more like 2 feet now because of all the knots, but that's fine. It's the same amount of lead and weight still in it. Of lead, 18-pound lead core line. Use whatever you can find. You may have to use copper line, or it doesn't matter. Just get whatever you have. And then that goes to another loop down to 12-pound test line. Let's see, where's down to 12-pound test line. We measured out 9 feet, and it's less than that because every time you tie the knots and snipping stuff off, it becomes less. And then that goes down to a swivel, right? And then that swivel just attaches straight to the bass crack Mickey fin fly lure. Ooh, put a little bit too much glue on that bugger. It'll be fine though. Gosh, I really did put too much glue on that thing. Let me go get another hook here and open that up. Alright. We got her straight now, so we put her in here, right, and there we have it, folks. And you see the way that sun glistens on that. There's a lot of flash there, simulates scales. The disc spins all the time. You don't get twisting your line because you have the swivel on there. The hook gets them. They'll almost always hit it and short strike it, but because that back hook's there, they hit it. I've only had one fish who bit the big hook here and got hooked. The rest of them were just on this little one. And it's just held together with CA glue, a lot of lashing, and a lot of, and again, 50-pound test lines. I end up taking a lot of my 50-pound test stuff and making the lures with. But anyway, there you go. That's how I rig up my trolling flies, and trolling for some stripers and spotted bass. But you know, and that's how you do that. I will talk to you guys later. See ya.